Have you ever disliked a game jam theme? Nearly everyone who competes in game jams will at some point come across one with a theme that they don't like. I've done a few by now, and there have been a couple where I've not been the biggest fan of the themes. However, I have not come across one where I disliked the theme so much that I struggled making a game, until the 2019 Community Game Jam. Hey guys, welcome to MashUp Games, and this is what makes a good game jam theme. For those who don't know, a game jam is an event in which a person can work individually or in a team to make a game within a short time frame, i.e. 48 hours or a week. Each game jam often has its own rules, but a common rule in nearly every game jam is a theme that people have to work with. The Community Game Jam was arranged by big players in the game development corner of YouTube: Saiku, Danny, Blackthorn Prod, Jabrils, and Brackies, including the Brackies Discord community, which had previously arranged 2 game jams of their own. This game jam happened throughout the last week of August and gained more than 1,000 entries. Now before I say anything, I feel like I must make it clear that anything I say in this video is purely my opinion, so it may not be yours. What I say isn't universally right or wrong, this is just what I think. With that being said, let me tell you what I perceive to be the purpose of a theme. The necessity of it is to give the player a bit of groundwork in which they make a game. This may be a certain design choice, or a thematic setting, or a genre, or it may just be one word, or a topic of interest. It doesn't matter exactly what the theme is, as long as it inspires people to think of a unique game that can play into it. And for this to be explained, let me give an example. Let's say the theme is light. People may recognise this as being the theme for the first Brackies game jam. Now, what does this mean? It means you need to make a game that can be associated with the word light, and this can be taken different ways. For example, you could make a game that heavily uses lighting as a primary feature for your game setting, say a detective game that happens in a downtown city full of neon lights, or a platformer game where a world has descended into darkness and you have to relight the place. Maybe you can involve the lighting as a game mechanic, like a game where you manage and live in a lighthouse on limited power, so you have to balance using other house appliances with turning the lighthouse light on to lead ships into the harbour. Maybe the lighting is the main mechanic. Say you could play a character that will lose health when they're exposed to sunlight, or a character that requires light to stay alive. Light doesn't need to refer to lighting, it can refer to the weight of an object, or the tone of the game. The word itself is up to many different interpretations. Now let's look at the theme Only One. This was the theme for the 2019 GMTK Game Jam. What this means is that there has to be an aspect to your game where you only have one something. This is very different to the previous theme, but it still works well as a game jam theme. It gives the creator a rule, but it doesn't give them the context, which allows the creator to choose the context themselves. It's one half of a statement, and you get to choose what the second half is. Maybe you can make an action game where the player only has one weapon that they throw and then have to retrieve, or a platformer game where you can only move forwards but not back. How about a game that only happens in one level that changes the more you play? Or you could take a narrative approach with it. There could only be one thing left in the world you have to protect, or maybe you're the last survivor in a survival game. Whilst these two themes are vastly different, I think they are good choices. They don't limit the player in what they can do, but instead act as a building block they can work around. They give a statement, but leave out the context. The theme can be interpreted in many different ways, and that's what I think makes a good game jam theme. Now let's look at the theme for the Community Game Jam. The game is a liar. What does this tell you? This theme can be translated into a rule. The game has to lie to you. This theme is basically telling you that you have to use this as a game mechanic. Of course, you could take a narrative approach instead, but so can almost every theme, good or bad. It's giving you the whole statement, not just half of it. And that's my problem. It doesn't offer any interpretation. It boldly states that the game has to lie to you. And I think that makes for a bad game. Say for example there was a game that lied to you all the time, like a maze where the game told you to go the wrong direction. Once the player has figured that out, it negates the necessity for the lying mechanic, for the player can always just head the inverse direction of what they're being told, which renders the theme pretty useless. Or in another way, say the game lies to you with certain information. The game doesn't always lie, but it lies often. Say, for example, in every level you have a button that will either kill you or open up a door. No matter how many levels you go through, there's no way of working out whether the game will tell you the truth or lie to you. So then a player cannot get better at the game, they just have to take a chance and hope it works out. People might find this fun for a little bit, but then it becomes as dull as flipping a coin. And with a theme like this, it warrants bad games. No matter how out of the box or inventive I make my game, there'll be a very large amount of troll games. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that people will be able to make games that are great, but I'm just not sure that these are the type of games I would like to play. I find troll games really annoying because there's no way of predicting what will come up. You always have to do trial and error and fail at almost every point. So that is what I think of the theme. This video was going to be another making of for the game that I made for this jam, Tales of Xyphoria, but I felt so unmotivated when making the game that I didn't have much footage recorded, and it was because of the theme that this happened. If you've liked this video, then please like and subscribe, and if you want to talk more, join my Discord server. But for now, this is MashUp Games, signing out.